Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a cushion or blanket or block, something that allows the back of your spine to sit nice and long and tall, and the back of your neck to be nice and long and tall. Opening up your chest, opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Let's gently close our eyes and soften our thoughts. Soften our eyes. Soften our shoulders. Just relax. And soften our heart. Just be open to what happens in this next hour. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale, and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. Open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat, or perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is the fact that we're in a new Ayurvedic season, Pitta season. Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga. It's an ancient health system dating back over 5,000 years that focuses on 3 doshas, or you can consider the doshas as energies. There's a Vata, Kapha, and Pitta energy, or dosha. One of the fundamental principles of Ayurveda is that our habits, routines, and dietary choices should ebb and flow with the seasons to create balance. Summer to early fall is Pitta season, which is governed by the elements fire and water. Think heat and humidity. So to create balance in Pitta season, you offset the hot, sharp, and intense qualities of summer by adopting a softness and an attitude of playfulness. Staying physically cool and mentally cool, you can do this by emphasizing movement that is slow, steady, light, and fun. With yoga, you would practice typically at an 80% effort. Maybe you have other routines, physical routines. Think about just turning it down a notch, 80% effort. Maybe they, like yoga, is not a competitive sport, so you don't have to be working at 100% all the time. And your activities should be more in the early morning or in the evening. Maybe with yoga, you can think about doing a moonlight yoga all amongst the fireflies. And then emphasizing eating foods that are sweet like fruits. Watermelon's a great one. Bitter, like leafy greens, typical salad greens. I mean, you naturally kind of gravitate to this anyway when it gets hot. And then astringent foods have a kind of a drying aspect to them. Those would be like beans, legumes, that type of thing. And the foods should be lightly cooked or raw. Who wants to turn on the oven anyway? And lightly spiced. And of course, most important in the summer is staying hydrated, which, it's the balance. You're taking in water, fire and water. You want to create the opposite, but you, as we all know, you just need to stay hydrated. And being hydrated in the summertime, a little tip from Ayurveda is that lime water, as opposed to lemon water, is more cooling. So just think about that. And then moving on to our pranayama, our breathing technique. We want to do in hot weather a breathing technique that expels excess heat and calms the mind. And there's two that are quite unique and used a lot in the summertime. They're Sitali and Sitkari. So Sitali is a breathing technique where you curl your tongue and inhale through the mouth, which typically we always say inhale through the nose, but in the summertime, get playful. You kind of go off your normal schedule of doing things, and you adopt more soft and different attitudes about how to do things. The Sitali with the curling tongue, and you inhale through the mouth, brings in that cool air, and then you exhale through the nose. Sitkari is very, very similar. It might be a little bit more acceptable if you're out in public. Bring your teeth together, and you're smiling, and you're bringing in the air through your mouth, through your teeth, and then you exhale through your nose. So let's do the first one, the Sitali, the curling of the tongue. Let's do that 3 times. And the Sitkari, we'll do that 3 times. So find your most wide and open teethy smile and breathe in through that, closing your mouth and exhaling through your nose. Number 3. You can feel that cool air, how just it's a little bit different than the room temperature air. So then we'll move on to our meditation. And today's affirmation I have for you is, I am present in each moment, savoring the joys of summer. I am present in each moment, savoring the joys of summer. Take a few moments to meditate. I'll meet you on the mat. Alrighty, you can open your eyes now and we'll start our asana practice. So with Ayurveda, there's routines that you can adopt for the this time of year, the Pitta season. There's also particular yoga poses that are more effective, I guess, in keeping you balanced in the Pitta season. And those would be chest openers, forward folds, and twists. The twists, think of like if you're really wet and one of the elements is water. If you're really wet, and you would wring yourself out to dry. So with that heat and humidity, maybe twists will help you to wring yourself out to dry. So we'll incorporate those three: forward folds, chest openers, and twists in today's practice. So let's just start with gently rolling our shoulders, just doing a few shoulder shrugs, bringing them up to our ears on inhale and lowering them on the exhale. And go as slow as you want, just kind of relaxing that upper chest and neck area. So we experienced a few days of that heat and humidity, which Pitta season's all about, last week. And then, of course, it cooled off to 50 degrees again. And then Monday, it's back to the 90s. So we're on quite a seesaw this summer. But so when the heat comes back, you'll have a few tools in your toolkit to deal with them. Hopefully you have some fans and air conditioning too to deal with them. Alrighty. And then we'll do our sun breaths and chest openers. So gently placing your fingertips on the mat beside you. We're going to bring our fingertips up over our head. And as we do, bring that big inhale of breath in. And you can do it either the Sitali or Sitkari or your regular breath. And then coming down on the exhale. Exhaling through your nose. Inhaling, opening up your hands nice and wide, really opening up your chest by bringing your hands as far back as what's comfortable. And then exhale, bringing them back together again. Inhale, up. And then exhale down. Just float them down. And we'll do that a few more times. So inhale up. And exhale down. Exhaling through your nose. Inhale, open, bringing your hands nice and wide and bringing them as far back as what's comfortable. Opening up your chest and then coming back on the exhale. Inhale up. And then exhale down and just let your fingers float down. Little raindrops. Or even if you want to think snowflakes, if that can cool you off, that might be fun too. I always think hot chocolate when I'm outside in winter, so maybe thinking of snowflakes in the summer will cool you off mentally. Inhaling one last time up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Alrighty, and if you have your legs crossed in front of you, uncross them and put them side by side so they're a little flatter on the mat. And we'll do a few forward folds. And do a forward fold one of two ways. You can just keep walking your fingertips out, pivoting at the waist, coming down as far as you can. Or another one, so if it's really hot out and it doesn't, bringing yourself all the way down to the ground or the mat, it's a little too hot. Just bring your fingertips out a little way so that your waist is pivoted, and then bend your elbows so you're still keeping some air flowing between your torso and the ground. And then you can just straighten your arms and then bend them down again to the ground. And do that way. Or again, the full forward fold, bringing it all the way down. And then we'll walk our hands back. Bring our spine nice and long and tall again. We'll bring that outer leg up, planting the foot on the mat, wrapping our arm around that knee. Fingertips go behind, and we'll twist our torso to the right. Again, we'll just kind of wring ourselves out here. And then come back to center, and we'll switch legs. So bring the other leg out in front, laying them side by side. And then we'll walk our fingertips out. You can do that one of two methods, either partially out till your waist starts to pivot, and then bringing your elbows down to the mat, and then back up again, and just kind of continue that gently. Coming back and forth. And if you want, you can continue your journey with your hands all the way out, coming into a full forward fold. And then we'll walk our hands back. Bring that spine back to nice and tall and straight. Bring the left knee up. Left foot goes down the mat. We'll wrap our right arm around the knee, sending the fingertips behind our hips, twisting our torso to the left, bringing ourselves out to the left. And then come back to center. We're going to actually roll down on our back. So you choose if you want your knees bent or knees straight out, or hands tucked under your knees, and gently roll back. I'm going to have my legs straight out today, but it's your choice. And we'll come back down on the back, bringing our knees to our chest, wrapping our hands around our knees and giving them a nice gentle hug. And we'll kind of rock back and forth just to massage that lower back. Wake up our spine, wake up all the chakras. And then we'll put both our feet on the mat. We'll slide the right foot all the way down to the bottom of the mat, pointing our toes. And we'll have our shoulders nice and snug in the mat, navel's to the spine a little bit, bringing our lower back toward the mat. And pointing our toe, we're going to lift our right leg up, point it to the sky, and then we'll flex our foot so the sole of our foot is facing up to the sky. And then keeping that flex, we'll return it foot back to the mat, slowly bringing it down. So again, pointing the toe, activating the leg, and then we're going to lift that leg all the way up, pointing it to the sky, and then flexing the foot. So the sole of the foot's flexed, pointing to the sky, and then bringing that whole foot back down to the mat. We'll do that one more time. So point the toes, activating the leg, lift it slowly up to the sky, and then flex the foot. And I can feel like the cramps. There we go. I was like, what am I looking for? Cramps. Kind of forming in my leg, and that is kind of an indication that I might be a little on the dehydrated side. So again, keep hydrated, and then we'll lower that foot back down. And slide our other leg all the way down, so we're in reclined mountain pose. And then slide that right foot that we just were using, and we slide that sole of the right foot all along the inside of my left leg till it reaches the knee, and my legs form a figure 4. Going into reclined pigeon pose. So we'll lift that right leg, placing the ankle on the left leg right above the kneecap. And then we'll lift both legs up and flex both toes up to the sky. Left leg is in a chair pose. Right knees pointing as best as it can to the right side of the mat. And if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers behind the left thigh and gently guide that leg toward your chest, keeping your chest as open as possible by bringing your shoulder blades down to the mat. And breathe into any tension that you may feel. And if that doesn't relieve it after a few breaths, just kind of back off a little bit. Make it comfortable. Find that sweet spot. Then we'll place the left foot back down on the mat and slide that foot all the way down, keeping the right ankle on the left leg, back to the figure 4. And then we'll pivot the right knee from the right side of the mat all the way over to the left side of the mat and guide it further to the left with your hand. And if you'd like, with your right arm, you can make a goal pose. We'll just do a lower spinal twist. And then bringing both knees back to the chest, we'll give them a nice hug again. And rock and roll a little bit. Give your lower back a massage. And then we'll place both feet again on the mat, sliding the left foot all the way down to the bottom of the mat, pointing the toes. We'll lift that left foot all the way up, pointing it to the sky, and then flexing that left foot so the sole of the foot is facing up to the sky, and then slowly lowering it back down. And once it's down, you can point your toe again, and we'll send it back up. Again, your chest is nice and open by having your shoulder blades nice and snug in the mat. And once your toes are pointing up to the sky, you flex your foot, opening the sole up to the sky. And then lowering the foot back down. And one last time, pointing your toe, reaching it up to the sky, flexing your foot, and then lowering it back down to the mat. And sliding the right foot down, coming into reclined mountain pose. We'll take the left foot, the sole of the left foot, and slide it along the inner part of the right leg, all the way up to the knee, creating that figure four. Then lifting the left ankle onto the right leg, right above the knee. And then lifting both legs up, coming into reclined pigeon. Both toes are flexed up to the sky. And you can interlace your fingers behind the right thigh and slowly guide it toward your chest, and keeping your shoulder blades and back right on the mat. Keep that chest open. And again, finding that sweet spot between effort and relaxation here. Breathing into any tension. And we'll lower the right foot down to the mat, slide it all the way down, keeping the left foot on the right leg. And then we'll pivot the left knee from the left side over to the right side, maybe guiding it a little bit with our right hand and bringing the left arm up into a goalpost. Keeping the shoulders on the mat, we're just kind of twisting the lower part of our spinal area. Okay, and then we'll bring both knees back to the chest and give them a hug. Maybe rock back and forth just a little bit more. And then we're going to come up to tabletop. So you can either roll over to your side and come up to tabletop, or if you like, you can rock and roll and come up to a seated position. Cross your knees or cross your legs and come over the top and come into tabletop. And once we are on our hands and knees, we come into tabletop by putting our shoulders right above our wrists. Fingertips are spread wide apart, gripping the mat a little bit. Knees are right below the hips. Navel's tucked to the spine. And we'll gently turn our head to the right, do a few head turns, and then bringing the head back to center. We'll turn it to the left, and then back to center again. Turning it to the right, back to center. Turning it to the left, back to center. And one last time to the right, back to center, and to the left, and then back to center. And once we've reached the center, we'll go into some cat-cows. Sort of round our back like a cat, tucking our chin under, our tailbone under, really stretching out that spine, and then lifting our head up, tailbone comes up, sending our gaze straight ahead for cow, and then rounding our back again, inhaling, or exhaling rather, rounding our back, whichever way works best for you. And then coming back up, we've had that discussion over the years. You inhale on cat or you exhale on cat. I think whatever works best for your body. We'll do a few more and just breathe deeply, coordinating your breath with your movement. And just a few more. And then come back to tabletop. And we'll send our hips down to our ankles and extend our hands forward for extended child's pose. Bringing the forehead down toward the mat. And then we'll come back up to tabletop. Tuck our toes under. Walk our hands back. Coming onto the balls of our feet in a squat position. And then once you reach that squat comfortably, you can push down and come up to mountain pose. So mountain pose, we're going to start by lifting our toes off the mat and then bringing them back down to the mat and lifting our heels off the mat and then bringing them back down to feel really grounded. And we do this all year round, but in the summertime, it's really wonderful to be able to do this outside with bare feet in the grass, really connecting to the coolness of the earth. And you just being out and connecting to that coolness of the earth by walking in the grass or maybe having a picnic. It's one of the pleasures, the joys of summer, if you will. So we'll be grounded, finding that strength and stillness in mountain pose. Our legs are nice and straight and strong, gentle flexing in the knees. Our navel's tucked to the spine, creating a nice long spine back of our neck. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Crown of our head is reaching to the sky. And we'll sweep our hands up and overhead with a big inhale. And exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go to support our lower back. And then bringing our hands to our shins, tucking our elbows toward our thighs, really straightening out that spine and back of our neck for half forward fold. And then the crown of the head comes down toward the mat for forward fold. We'll just relax here for a moment. Let our fingers hang off the mat and be airborne. And let gravity take over here for a moment. And then we'll inhale, sweeping our hands all the way up. And as we bring our hands overhead, we're going to lift up onto our tippy toes. And then exhale, lowering our hands down. And as we lower our hands down, lower our heels down to the mat with control. We'll do 2 more inhales into the tippy toes, lifting up our hands, inhaling our breath, coming up onto our tippy toes. All about balance here. Maybe you need to find a drishti to keep your focus steady, steadying your mind. And then one last time. Inhale, lifting the arms up, coming up onto the tippy toes. And then exhale, bringing our hands slowly down, bringing our heels slowly down. And then we'll bring our hands all the way down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. And then inhale, lifting our hands to our shins, flattening out the back for half forward fold. And then we're going to bring our left hand to the mat, right in front of our left foot, bending our left knee toward the left arm, keeping our right leg straight. We'll do a forward fold with a twist by sweeping our right hand all the way up to the sky. And if you can follow your hand with your eyes, that would be great. And then lowering the hand back down to the mat. And we'll switch places. Right hand goes in front of the right foot. Right knee bends towards the right arm. Left leg becomes straighter. And we'll sweep the left fingertips all the way up from the mat to the sky, flying with them with our gaze. And then bring that hand back down. And sweeping both hands back up and overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center on the exhale. And then palms come to the back of our hips. We'll come into supported back bend. Our feet are about hip width apart. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked toward the chest. We'll gently drop our shoulders back, finding that sweet spot where you can still breathe, nice, even flow. And then back up to mountain pose. And we'll continue on. So sweeping our hands up overhead, big inhale. Exhale, bringing our hands all the way down to the mat and placing them both on the mat. We're going to step both feet back, coming into downward dog. So our feet don't go fully back to the end of the mat. So we'll come into a downward dog. Fingers are nice and spread apart with the index finger pointing to the top of the mat. Arms are straight. The chest is reaching toward our thighs, elevating our hip, and then you can pedal out. And then we're going to bring that left knee to the left elbow as we push off with our right foot. And then back to downward dog, pedal out. And then we'll bring that left knee back to the left elbow. And then back to downward dog and pedal out. And this last time we're going to bring that left foot between our hands. So lifting the left leg up, bringing it between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. So your hands are framing your foot. Your right leg is nice and long, extended with the heel pushing toward the back of the mat. Place the right hand down on the mat, sweeping the left up to the sky. The runner's lunge with a twist. Now, back legs nice and active. And then bringing the left hand down. We're going to bring the right knee down to the mat, the top of the right foot down to the mat. And we're going to walk our hands back. And as we walk our hands back, we're going to flex our foot, our toes up to the sky. So there's going to be space between us and our thigh. And then we'll walk our hands forward, bringing ourselves forward, and then lifting our hands off the mat into an airplane hands, like we're soaring through the sky like a bird. And then bring the hands back down to the mat. We'll do that 2 more times. So walk your hands back, flexing your toes up toward the sky. And walk your hands forward. And then lifting your hands up, chest is open. You're soaring through the sky. And then back down to the mat. Walking our hands back. Toe flips up toward the sky. And walking our hands forward one last time. Extending our chest forward. Lifting our arms up and back of us. And soaring through the sky. And we'll bring our hands back down to the mat. Tuck our back toes under, lifting up to runner's lunge. And we'll take our hands for a walk along the long side of the mat. Walk them to the right. We're coming into wide-legged stance. Our toes are a little bit pigeon-toed, kind of tucked in with our heels slightly tucked out. And then we'll walk our hands over to the right foot. And then walk them over to the left foot. Walk them back to center. We'll have one hand planted on the mat and sweep the right hand up toward the sky for a twist. And then back down to the mat, and we'll send the other hand up, sweep it up to the sky for a twist. And then back down. And you bend your knees and bring your hands to your hips and bring your torso up, nice and straight, coming into like a Superman or Superwoman pose. Now we're going to take our toes and point them to the edges of the mat, tucking our heels in. So it's a little opposite of what we just had our feet placed at. So again, that nice Superman, Superwoman pose. We'll sweep our hands up to the sky as a star. And then you can bend your knees and bend your elbows, come down to goddess pose. Or if it's more comfortable, you can just keep your hands on your hips if the arm movement isn't working for you today. So back to goddess. And then straighten our legs, straighten our arms, back up to star. And then we'll do that 2 more times, bending our elbows and our knees down, keeping our spine nice and straight, chest open, and then back up, star, and one last time down to goddess. And then back up. We're going to pivot our feet to the left. Both feet go to the left. We'll bring our hands down to the mat, coming into runner's lunge. Then we'll bring our foot to the back, coming into downward dog. We'll just pedal out here for a quick moment. And then we're going to come into a pigeon pose. So bringing the left knee to the mat right behind the left wrist. And you can point your toes to the right side of the mat and on a diagonal. And if you're able to bring them up so your leg is parallel with the end of the mat, that's quite amazing. But you find your sweet spot on this, and then we'll slide the right foot down, bringing the top of the right foot down to the mat, keeping our hips straight. We want to tip them one side or the other. And then we'll just rock our hands back toward our feet, opening up our chest. The chest openers. And then bringing our hands back, we'll tuck our back toes under. You come back to downward dog. And then we'll do this all on the other side. So starting with downward dog, just kind of pedal out here for a moment. And then we'll bring our right knee to our right elbow, pushing off with the left foot. And then back again, downward dog, pedaling out. And then the right knee again comes to the right elbow. And then back again for downward dog. And then we'll bring our right foot between our hands. So lifting our right foot up, bring them between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. Front knees over the front ankle. Left leg's nice and straight and strong and active. Heel pushing back. And then with our left hand planted on the mat, we'll sweep our right hand up to the sky. Runner's lunge with a twist. And then the right hand goes back down to the mat. Left knee comes down to the mat. Top of the left foot comes down to the mat. And we'll walk our hands back and flexing our toe up to the sky. And then walk our hands forward and reaching forward with our chest, lifting our hands up off the mat, coming in like a soaring bird. And then we'll walk our hands or place our hands back on the mat and walk them back again, pointing our toes up to the sky. Walk our hands forward to the soaring bird. And then back on the mat, we'll walk our hands, flexing our toe up to the sky for one last time. Walk our hands forward, lifting our chin and our chest up and out, sending our hands up behind us, and then coming back to the mat. Tucking our back toes under, we'll come back to runner's lunge. We're going to take our hands and walk along the long side of the mat on the left, turning left. Once our hands reach the center, we're going to have our toes kind of tucked inward and heels tucked outward, kind of pigeon-toed. And then walk our hands over to the left. And walk our hands over to the right. Walk our hands back to center. Sweeping the right hand up to the sky. And then back down again for a wide-legged stance with a twist. Sweeping the left hand up to the sky. And then back down. Bend our knees slightly, bringing our hands to our hips and bringing our torso upright, look around. And now we're going to be in that Superman, Superwoman pose, where we're going to point our toes to the corners of the mat, tucking our heels in. And again, you can keep your hands on your hips, just making your chest nice and open. Or you can sweep your hands up to the sky, coming into star pose, and then bending your knees, bending your arms into goddess, keeping that spine nice and straight, chest open, and then back up again, back to star, and then bending knees and elbows, come down to goddess, and then back up again to star, and then back down to goddess. And we'll come back up and turn our toes to the right and come reach our hands down, coming down to the mat, coming into runner's lunge. And then bringing that right foot back to meet the left, coming into downward dog. And we pedal out here for a moment. And then bring the right knee, place it on the mat, right behind your right wrist, angling your right foot below you, below your torso, and sliding your left foot all the way down to the bottom of the mat. And then just kind of walk your hands back, become that pigeon pose, that proud pigeon with an open chest. And then we'll tuck our back toes under, come back to downward dog, pedal out here just for a moment. And then we'll bring our knees to the mat, and you can swing your feet out to one side of the mat and come into a seated position. And then we'll roll down on our back, and you can choose whichever method you'd like. Again, we'll do another one for this. Bring our knees to our chest, give them a nice hug, and rock our lower back. Just give it a nice massage. Then we'll do a few rowboats. So we're going to take our hands and wrap them around our knees and push our knees away, fully extending our arms, and then bringing the knees to each side, bringing the soles of our feet together, and then bringing our knees back toward our shoulders, but really emphasize opening up your chest with that, keeping your arms wide and your knees wide on this. And then closing your knees over your chest. We'll do that a few more times. So rowboats, we're going to extend, push our knees away from us, extending our arms fully, and then opening the knees to each side, bringing the soles of our feet together, and then bringing the knees back toward our shoulders, and then closing the knees over our chest. And one last time, extending our knees away from us, arms are fully extended, bringing the knees to each side, soles of the feet together, and then drawing the knees back toward the shoulders. And this is where your feet could come apart by really emphasizing opening your chest. And then lastly, closing the knees over your chest. Give them a nice hug. And then we'll place both feet on the mat. And we'll bring them toward the edges of the mat and let our knees just kind of rest together so that they're touching, the knees are touching one another. So our feet are toward the outer edge of the mat, knees are touching and resting together. And then we'll do a few somatic windshield wipers. So we bring our arms out to the side in a T shape at shoulder height. We're gonna release our knees from one another and then send both knees to the right. And we'll have our right hand down and our left hand palm facing up to the sky. And we're going to turn our head to look at that left hand, the hand that's facing up to the sky. And then we'll bring the knee back to center, lower them to the other side, and we'll flip our hands. Left hand goes down, right hand goes up, and our gaze goes to our right hand. And we'll do that again, kind of have a little bit of a nice flow. So lifting the knees and dropping them to the right, pivoting our hands, looking to the left, and then bringing the knees back to center, dropping to the other side, pivoting our hands. And then just create this nice, even flow doing that. Nice, gentle flow. You're moving your knees, your hands, your head. Everything's kind of twisting and twirling here. And then we'll do just one more. And come back to center. And then slide your feet down to the end of the mat, to each corner, preparing for Shavasana. And just relaxing, opening up your chest again, letting your hands face up to the sky, taking a nice deep inhale, maybe the Sitali or Sitkari through your rolled tongue or your teeth. And then big exhale, just letting everything relax. Placing a gentle smile on your lips. And this morning's poem that I have for you is called Summer Lights by Terri Crowther. Dawn light emerges in the northern sky long before the song of the early bird starts. Lit by early morning sunbeams, last night's dew is caught evaporating into the air. Daylight forces you to squint, to shade your eyes from noontime glare on the lake. Children splashing and laughing with delight, creating waves that shimmer and sparkle in the sunlight. Afternoon light stretches toward the solstice, the warm breeze pushing meadow grass to grow taller. Shadows elongate from the setting sun, washing the garden plants with a golden hue. Evening light comes slowly, letting us savor the balmy air. Reluctantly, the twilight surrenders to the night. Night lights emerge from every direction. Summer constellations illuminating the sky, lightning bugs blinking their voices in the fields, fireworks exploding midair, twinkling down to the ground.